Good afternoon. Hope you're doing well. We're going to close here in about 2 minutes, a little bit less than 2 minutes. All right, so we'll see what the closing numbers here on the Qs and SPY. It won't be that important. What'll be more important is today's low. So we'll take a look at that. That's not going to change, I think, in the next minute. But we'll go over the market and go over today's plays, talk a little bit about assessing risk at the open, analyzing plays when volatility is at its highest. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for August 17th, 2021. Q's down about 1% here, a little bit shy, 0.93 there. SPY down 0.7. And then IWM still the weakest of the bunch, especially on this larger time frame, down 1.26. I was anticipating that the IWM would want to break out, but it's looking like the IWM has resumed the bearishness that it had there in June. Pause there. We've been neutral on this through most of July and then into August. And now it's looking back to bearish. Okay. I mean, here's the hourly, it's trying to turn itself back over. Are we going to get an hourly sell setup, basically a pivot in this downtrend, looking like it may want to finally break down. The weekly here may be producing a lower high here. That may also lead this back down. The daily is a little bit less clear. You can see we're back into support here. So the hourly weak, the weekly is weak. The daily back into support now after a couple days down. So we'll see. It's looking like, that breakout attempt on the IWM is not going to come, and we are turning back over. So I think that leads to the next question. Is IWM going to lead or be the first to lead if the Qs and the SPY roll over, put in some kind of temporary top here? Okay, so that leads into the next question. Where is our line in the sand now for the Qs and SPY here, as we had a decently weak day, came back into some support here. If you were with me while we were trading in the room, there was a lot of talk about the weakness in the Qs, and I said, yes, it looks pretty weak. Okay. But if there's, something that I know as far as the habit of the Qs and the SPY, it's that usually this break of support, of the support to the left, the really obvious support, is probably not going to follow through, especially because the move really started from the high of the day all the way through the low of the day right there. So if you're with me this morning, I was saying, okay, Qs is weak, but I would not start short positions down here, okay? Because I said as soon as it breaks, it's probably going to pop right back up. That's just what the Qs does, okay? Both Qs and SPY tend to do that. So it's just the last bit of sellers get it to break. A lot of times they're the last ones in, and they get punished for it, okay? So see that all the time in the Qs and the SPY. All right, and so you just have to know where is it coming from when it breaks support, not just it's breaking support. Okay, so SPY, a little bit more follow through to the downside, but when you look at this daily, as much as I see that the hourly is turned weak here, the daily, the weekly are just too strong for me to be bearish now. And even if we take out today's low tomorrow or in the next couple days, it's still pretty too strong here for me to be outright bearish on that alone. So what I'm anticipating is we do need to take out today's low for sure, just to even not be bullish still on the Qs and SPY. If we take out today's low, and we can use today's low for Qs and SPY, I really have to see follow through from there. And then I can be bearish. I'm going to be late, obviously, by that point. There'll have been some decent follow through, and we'll be well off of the highs. But just like I talked about yesterday, when it's a power trend like this, it's really hard to pick the top, especially if you're trying to pick some longer term top. Short term tops, yeah, maybe last for a few days, like this one, I guess. Like here on the Qs, we got a pretty deep pullback after that, maybe lasted 2 weeks, you know? So, and so that's more what I'm questioning is it a longer term top that we might have? And it's just really, for me, too early to say. Okay, so, but trying to anticipate what we may get here on the hourly. And so really I need to see today's low get broken and then the next sell set, next base breakdown. Okay, because it's just too strong of a trend so far. And you know, this little tiny little breakout and then back in the base. When it comes to breakout failures, this I feel like is making too much out of it. Okay, you want to see a really good breakout failure would be like the DXC here. Okay, you see this? Now this, because we know this, when you get the breakout, you get the big volume, you get the inside bar. Underneath the inside bar, you need to be out of the play. Now this would have been tough if you played it swing long. We weren't in the swing long or anything, but because it gapped down instead, and then that gap down was not able to recover, and now you see the big breakout failure. Longs might have all piled in here, and then they got trapped, and then today's confirming that the top is in. So you look at something like that, it's a lot more apparent than something like this, right? And the bigger the topping pattern, the bigger kind of the fall that we can expect, because there's more people trapped, or more traders, more money trapped in that kind of setup. Okay, so that's going to be the plan for tomorrow. We still got to take out today's low, and then we got to get the next setup. Okay, so really, yeah, I just, every time I zoom out to the daily, the weekly, as much as Qs were down almost 1%, I think at some point in the day down over 1%, it's hard for me to still be bearish on this. Okay, and then as maybe that's what makes September exciting, or October or something, but I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. Okay, all right, let's go over the plays for today. And so I want to talk a little bit about risk assessment today, because I thought that was pretty relevant for today. Not that it would have kept you out of bad plays or anything, but you have to kind of be aware, especially if you're trading really the gaps, different symbols, things when they're moving moving a lot. Okay. So something like this, the GAN, I thought was a good gap and fine to play at the open. The problem was it had 20-cent spread, and then we had a dollar stop for a $14, $15 stock. So it's a little bit tough. You would really expect on a 1-minute high low to be a little bit more of a good size stop where you get to take advantage of reward to risk. In this case, I did not feel like it was, and I think that ultimately keeps this from actually being that nice a play. Now, you maybe are able to get close to $1 on this. I think that seems to be the low of the day there, somewhere around 13, because the stop was basically 14 by 15. But that really keeps the play from being a really, really nice play. If you can't really get more than 1R on the whole thing, it doesn't make playing things at the open that enticing. Okay, so that was kind of the first thing. You got spread. Who knows where you get filled as it breaks 13 or breaks 14. Probably wasn't too bad. Maybe like 10 cents slippage, maybe. So that was the issue with the GAN, but here's the gap. I like the gap. Okay, clearing all of this support here. Looks a little bit like the XL that we played right last week. Okay, so that was nice. Or I think FEYE, also not too bad when it broke underneath. Yeah, all that support there, base there on the daily as well on this day. Okay, so we like that kind of gap. It just wasn't gonna be all that playable. And then the CLSK as well. Okay, clearing the base, nice, good. Problem with the CLSK, right, is not that the stop is not big, or that the stop is big. Okay, here it is, 1099 or 1099 by 1083. Okay, maybe 17, 20 cent stop depending on where you get filled. Maybe size for 20 cents. or sorry, no, not 20 cents, 7 cents. No, I had it right the first time, 20 cents, okay? Um, but the problem with this had like 10 cents spread, okay? So 10 cents spread on a 20-cent stop, right? If you take 10 cents on the way getting in, 10 cents on the way getting out, okay, then you could easily lose 2 R's, right? And so in this case, it wasn't the stop size that was the problem, at least I thought. It was the fact that the spread was a too significant amount of what the stop would be. So too easy to get in trouble. And then you can see when it broke here, right, 1083, in that 1 minute bar dropped to 1040. Okay, so who knows where you get filled on the way down and then kind of right back up. So as a result of this, even though I thought those were two of the best gaps and for sure the two best gap downs, that kind of left me without being able to play either of those. Okay, and that's fine. They didn't end up, like we looked at the GAN worked some. CLSK just got that drop. Now, if you get filled at the right place, that's great. 20 cent stop, you get 40 cents. But because of the spread, you're probably not going to be able to get in right as it breaks 83. Okay. What I did end up playing today was the SESN. You had a little bit of a gap up. This is a little bit unusual, this kind of chart. They had their news about, their own like FDA decision kind of thing. And then today was gapping up a little bit. Okay, after yesterday, had that inside bar. A little bit of an unusual daily chart, but I thought that the pullback was good looking enough to give it a try. There's the 2 minute. It was a 2 minute buy setup. Here's the 1 minute. Okay, and here's the 1 minute. So they're pretty flawless on the 2 and the 1. Moves up first, shows some strength, and then pull back. Okay, so this was pretty good. And then did hold on to a runner, but the runner eventually trailed underneath 47. There was no spread on this. It just moved fast. That's all. When it moved, kind of moved 2 or 3 cents at a time. But what was also nice about this is that's fine. So no spread. And I think it got filled at like 44. So I got in by the time it was like triggering and it was, it moved up pretty quick and I got my order and it was already at 44. So I think it was 44 by 37. Yeah. So it was a 7 cent stop. So that was pretty good. I only needed 60 for a couple hours. So that was good. And then tried to hold the rest, but the rest eventually trailed. Okay. So those were the plays from today. I left some other ones on here. HD was a pretty solid gap. Interestingly enough, the low, which isn't the one that reported, low I think is reporting either tonight or tomorrow morning, had a much better gap actually, and actually followed through much better, even though HD is the one that reported. Now, obviously, they trade very similarly and they're in the same business, so just surprising that LOW got more follow through intraday than the HD. Okay, but I did think this was a better gap. Okay. So, the only other thing was the AUPH. I did try, but it didn't get filled. So I tried it as it was breaking 13 here. See this type base here, but it didn't get filled. So that's fine. That happens. I tried. Not much else you can do. Okay. And then here was the gap on the AUPH. Okay. Island reversal there. All right. Hope you did well today. I don't think there was that much to do. I don't think it was that busy. So don't be surprised if by the end of the week we're back into quality over quantity mode. Okay, we do still have retailers reporting throughout the week and into next week, but we'll see. I thought today kind of boring. Okay. All right. I hope you did well today. We'll be back at it tomorrow, and I'll talk to you then. Have a good evening.